I'm sitting in front of you.
I'm sitting 3 feet away from Marco, and
hardly social distancing.
Hardly. We're social, closening. We're social closening right now.
We're social closening. This is great. This is our first in-person, real-life, wrong fit episode 11. This is not likely to be the first of many. We'll see. I don't mean that in a bad way. I just mean that I don't live here. You live here.
Yes.
But we're hoping that in the future we can do this a little bit more often, a little bit more, make it easier to do.
They call it the wrong fit, but this feels so right.
It feels so right. The backdrop of this, of course, is that Eli and I have not really seen each other. In fact, we have not at all seen each other in person since March of last year.
Which is funny. I mean, we were the last, I think we mentioned this in the pod before, we were the last people to see each other COVID before all the world ended. He was the last person I saw in Austin before I went home.
Yeah, and that goes for me as well. You were the last friend. Although you went back to school, so you got to see more friends way quicker than I did. For me, you were the second to last friend I saw ever since the pandemic started, which has been, over a year now. I'm stuck in Laredo. You guys, most of my friends are in the Austin, Central Texas area, so they got to see each other for school, for activism, election-related stuff and everything, but I was sort of like the lonely island out there.
The lonely island.
Yeah, out there in Laredo.
Island.
Laredo Island, yeah. That's how it feels. It feels isolating, right? Especially when you're hunkering down for COVID and everything, taking it all seriously.
And what's the drive time? It's gotta be 4 hours.
It's close to 4.
Yeah.
If Austin, if that I-35 corridor between San Antonio to Austin is being particularly brutal, it is 4 hours. But usually it's about 3.5. But so that's not like a nothing drive, but it's also not like a huge drive.
From 3 hours away to 3 feet away.
Oh wow, that's
very
poignant.
poetic.
That's amazing. That's so pertinent. And it's not that it's a hard drive, but it was just always about how to do something like this safely.
Yeah.
And I guess we can get into a little bit vaccine follow up. So we talked about our respective vaccination stories. In between then and now, they hashtag canceled the Johnson & Johnson, all to hashtag uncancel the Johnson & Johnson.
J&J uncanceled.
You didn't get a blood clot, right?
I didn't get. So I got the Johnson. So Pfizer, you're Pfizer.
I'm Pfizer.
Pfizer gang.
That's correct.
I'm Johnson boy. Got my J&J on. So I was not blood clotted, thankfully. I heard there was very isolated cases. I wasn't really worried. So there was this progression of, first I was worried about it. I was like, oh man, they're blood clotting. And then I was like, oh, it's only affecting women. Oh, it's only affecting women that are middle-aged. So I was this steady sort of cooling down of my worries, if that makes sense.
Right.
I was so happy with my Johnson & Johnson, 5-star review, gonna post it on Yelp. No side effects, one shot and I was done. It was really convenient. One and done. And it was really convenient because I got in Houston. I came back to Austin, so I didn't have to worry about driving up to Houston and 3 weeks later.
Yeah. And you mentioned that, and that's the only parallel with the Pfizer, because at the time that I was getting it, there were a few shortages still. There were kind of the last weeks where there were shortages all over the country. They actually delayed my second shot by a day.
Oh.
And when that happens, you always think that you're just never going to get it. They're going to delay it, and they're going to keep delaying it, because that's how things work, right? You get delays, and then you get delays and delays. Luckily, it really was just a 1-day delay. I got my second shot, and that's 2 and done.
Yeah.
And then it took a while. So that was tail end of March.
Yeah.
It took a while to see where was that going to take us, right? Mm-hmm. Demand was really high, and then it's kind of been slipping for a little while. Supply has been, now you can't swing a dead cat around a CVS without getting a big pile of COVID vaccines that are unused, right?
Yeah.
So it was all wait and see what's going to happen in the situation in this country. And obviously in the rest of the world, COVID is still raging, and we're very cognizant of that. But, we live here. Yeah. And here, the cases, counts are declining.
Cases are
very
down.
Very
Deaths
are down. Hospitalizations are down. I read a story about a hospital, and I'll try to find a link in the show notes. I read a story about some hospital I think it was in Virginia, don't quote me on that, where they just saw off their last COVID positive patient.
Wow.
I'm sure they'll get another one, but that ended that year plus long streak of having COVID people there.
Probably most of that year, the COVID was the majority of, or at least a large portion of cases in that hospital were probably COVID cases.
That has been the case for most of the country most of the time. And now we're seeing hospitalizations down like 60%, some absurd number like that. My own hometown, Laredo, we have hit 71% have gotten the first jab, 50% are fully vaxxed. Among the older folks, it's like 85%, which is really, really high. I told Eli this before the show, but Laredo, Webb County has stopped reporting day to day. They're switching to weekly because there's just not that much to report anymore. It's not really significant anymore. And last week we only had 45 cases, which is like 8 a day. I don't know how numbers work. It's like 6 a day. That's not really much to worry about anymore. And no deaths last week in Laredo.
That's amazing. That's the real mission accomplished right there, I think.
And that's a similar story across the country. Now, I want to put a big caveat to this because Eli and I were both on the record very serious about COVID and everything.
On this record.
On this record, yeah.
And we don't want to scratch that record. Okay?
No, we don't want to scratch that record. Yeah, exactly, because you can't unscratch it. We don't want to be like the wrong fit blamed for super spreader COVID events or anything. But I do want to iterate that there are cases. We hit 14,000. We had 14,000 cases the other day. That is a far cry from the obscene amount of cases we had earlier this year in January and December. With the cold and Christmas and everything. That is a far cry from that. However, we know from data that the vast, vast, vast majority of that 14,000 is from unvaccinated people. So
get your vaccines, man.
Get your vaccines.
Roll up the sleeves.
You have to do it. I know that there's a bit of a, not to get political, but there's a
this
bit
is not
of
a political podcast.
There's a bit of a dissonance between earlier you had the vaccine hesitance, but that skewed a lot towards communities of color and folks that just didn't have access to it. But now supply is just everywhere, and everyone that wanted one, or even folks that were at first hesitant, but then they saw their friends and family get it. Now they have it too. You can't. I'm telling you, you cannot avoid it. I went to Walmart, or I think I was at a Sam's Club in Corpus Christi, and by then they had already lifted the mask mandate for vaccinated individuals. Now that's a bit of a sheep that if we follow it, we'll get dragged into the pasture. We'll get dragged into the pasture of complicated discussions. That's a great metaphor. But just know that it's a little bit of a tricky situation, right? So my father and I, obviously we were both fully vaccinated, but we still decided to wear our masks inside Sam's Club. I would say that around 60% were still wearing masks. About 40% decided not to wear. And the signaling that I got was that there were employees at that Sam's Club that were going around asking the people that were wearing masks if they wanted to be vaccinated against COVID-19. So, but it's funny because I heard this conversation happen a few times where everyone that was asked was already vaccinated and they're still wearing masks. So there's a funny dissonance happening in this country where you have the vaccine people that were very happy to get vaccinated. They're still masking up. But folks that are probably not vaccinated, not wearing masks.
It's funny because the Sam's Club employees are perfectly logical, thinking that you're wearing a mask, so that you're probably not vaccinated. And if you're not wearing a mask, you are wearing a mask, so you're probably not vaccinated. You aren't wearing a mask, you probably are vaccinated. That's perfectly logical if we lived in a logical world.
But we don't.
We don't. Unfortunately, we don't. Not to get too vaccine heavy. This is not a CDC podcast.
Although we would certainly love some of the CDC's discretionary budget to pay for. I mean, we're doing the most here. We are pro CDC. We're pro Fauci.
If we can get Fauci on the podcast, we don't have any guests here on The Wrong Fit. It's just me and Marco. But if we could get Fauci, I think we will make a special exception for Dr. Fauci.
Come on down, pull up a chair in this kind of messy room, and, and let's talk about vaccines. So go ahead.
But there was two really main reasons I was so happy about the vaccines being, widely available. Reason number one is obviously safety, people not dying. Reason number two, I think is a much more, personal reason for me, is we got to see the Marco vaccine fits.
Ooh.
Tell us a little bit about those fits, Marco.
Wow, that is so nice of you. I don't know.
So it's first, it's like World like Health, then like close second is like Marco's fits, like right there, you know?
So, I mean, this is one of those things at the time, it's funny. It feels like a million years ago that we were talking about like vaccine hesitancy, but also vaccine envy. That feels such an ancient concept. It feels like so quaint, like puritanical. Like we're looking back at the Pilgrims and we're talking about vaccine envy. It's like, oh, wow, what a silly little thing to worry about. Because now vaccines are plentiful,
like scurvy here. Or something. Like.
Right, and they're plentiful here. In the U.S., obviously, they're not plentiful in the rest of the world, which is its own political problem. But you mentioned the fits. So at the time, it was a big thing. You got your vaccine, you got to take a picture, get your card out, flex, take that picture, put it on the gram, show everybody those little codes that they tell you to cover, but show them anyway.
Show me. Loud and proud, man.
Loud and proud, Pfizer, Moderna, J&J, Sinovac,
Sinovac.
That's the Chinese one.
We're going deep cut.
Where are you getting the Sinovac vaccine, buddy?
Going to the Chinese embassy to get your vaccine.
Yeah. It's like, oh wow, the vaccine, it was so great. It only cost me $200, and you're like, wait a minute. But anyway, so this was that era where you were taking pictures, and I don't know, it just felt right. You had to show up and show out for your vaccine. You had to do it. And if you didn't, I mean, it seemed like a missed opportunity. So at that time, I had picked up some new shirts from the outlet mall in Laredo. I had picked up this beautiful pair of pants from a brand that I really recommend. It's a designer label, but it's very affordable. It's called Todd Snyder, New York, American-based designer label, manufactured in Europe. So that it's probably a little less cruel than some of your other brands. But Todd Snyder, I really, really recommend it. I got this beautiful pair of pants from them, and I was like, I gotta show up and show out. This is like, this is me.
Not what were we doing? What was this all for? This past year.
What was this year of suffering all for? If it was not for my beautiful
sweet release
of my selvage denim Todd Snyder pants. Yeah.
So for our kind of since our 10, I think that the last discussion went really well, talking about our top 5-10 things together. Our top, last time it was the movies. We decided to take it in a bit of a different direction this time around. Maybe a little bit less of a critical eye to things. Maybe just more of a fun conversation. Although I feel like this might get a little heated.
So I have a quick note on the segment in general. Yes. So when we decided that we were going to do 10 episodes of discussing our respective top 5 favorite whatever.
Yes.
I think that was kind of a spur of the moment decision that we did.
Yeah. It made sense, but it was a little bit like, oh, that'd be cool.
That'd be cool. Yeah. It occurred to me somewhat recently that oh wait, 10 episodes, that could be like a year of doing stuff like this. And it's just like a funny thing to commit to for a year, because I mean, it didn't take us a year to get to 10 episodes, but if we keep recording at about 1 or 2 a month, it could take 6 months or closer to a year to get through 10 episodes of our ranking. And I just, it's the kind of thing where you wonder, is it going to get stale? Who knows?
See, and I feel like sometimes there's things that Marco's more prepared with than I am. And this one, because we talked about this just kind of casual conversation. And I think I don't know if it was I thought that I was supposed to have it ready. It was a month ago that we had this conversation. But the day we decided let's do this, I think maybe I was just what are my top 10 or my top 5 favorite whatever. I was just kind of curious for myself. But I made a Google Doc with a bunch of lists. I was just top 5 songs, albums, movies.
Fantastic.
And when we got to we had nothing was the day before we talked about it, in preparation to record, and I was like, well, nothing was really solid, but I was like, I am ready to go, fire on all cylinders.
And each time I have been woefully unprepared and flying by the seat of my pants. So for the movies one, I had to refer back to my Letterboxd account and pick out a 5th movie just to bring up the rear.
Yeah.
And for this one, which we haven't even said what the topic is, I basically just racked my brain for a little bit and then ranked them. I think it's a good ranking. It may not be the best ranking if I really took my time to spend weeks and weeks pontificating like you have.
And now I'm going to say the opposite. This is the best rating. This is objectively the right rating.
Okay, so we haven't mentioned it yet. Today, we are talking about our top 5 favorite memes.
So meme formats, just you guys know like what we're talking about. Like we're talking about like, anything from
like any phenomenon, not like particular, not like individual images. We're talking about like what became a phenomenon
of like this was repeatedly used to explain, and like even if you aren't familiar with the core, like the subject matter of the meme, like you understand seen the format. Like most people have seen these, I think. I mean, I
have a few that are a little bit out of left
deep
field.
Cuts.
Yeah, and I think the fun is going to be in me explaining it. And of course, like always, and this is the segment where like this matters the most. We will have images and links in the show notes.
Definitely.
Some very, very funny links I'm sure are soon to come. So go ahead and take a look at that.
Let's get started with. I cheated a little bit this time.
You cheated.
I am a cheater.
How?
I have an honorable mention. I can't.
An honorable mention?
I'm sorry.
I didn't know I was supposed to come with 6 memes. Do I have to go think for a meme now?
You don't have to. I think it's only if my mention was honorable enough. I think it deserved the mention. My honorable mention is, and you can start off after. Like you can start with your 5.
I'm entitled now. We'll go back and forth. You switched. You altered. I
switched up on you.
You switched up on me.
Once you hear the meme, you're gonna be like, okay, you have to. The crying Jordan meme.
Ah, wow.
That's a good meme.
Yeah.
The crying Jordan meme. If you're not like, and this is you gotta respect to the GOAT. Gotta respect to Sir Michael Jordan himself, the king of the court. Just like. There's so much like emotion. See, I think that for me, memes are really emotional experiences.
And that's true. They can be, yeah.
So much emotion behind this meme. And it's like so applicable. So I think that the number one thing you want with your meme is it's got to be like widely applicable. But like this crying Jordan, like you just look into his eyes and like that's a man who, and it's funny because it's like kind of twisted. Because like the reason he's crying is because he's like in the Hall of Fame and like it's like a retrospective.
Oh, okay.
It's like a happy cry, right?
At least it's a happy cry that's been manipulated and exploited, as opposed to like some really sad cry that became a meme. That would be kind of crappy.
Yeah, but so it was a happy cry of like I'm in the Hall of Fame.
That'll do.
But like people use it as like you're crying, like you're losing out kind of thing. It's like a diss almost of like a crying Jordan, like I don't know, like that's just like, oh, your team lost, crying Jordan, like
certainly,
but it's just a really expressive meme, and I think it says a lot. Just those eyes, man, like because I actually follow an account, and this is the only like one that the reason I had to add it because there's some backstories. I follow an account on Instagram. It's called like crying Jordan face, and they like for anything that like. When Trump lost the election, like they edited on like the crying Jordan eyes onto him. Yeah. Like for when anything of substance like happened, like I think the same thing with like anything of substance, like Fauci. I think they probably did that with like when something was happening or another. Like,
there's like that. There's a Longhorn version that like always gets reposted every time our team loses in football. It's like crying Jordan, but like underneath like a Longhorn logo. Yeah, with like the burnt orange all around him.
Yeah, I think it was edited. Yeah, it was like the Longhorn. Like our mascot, like this, this Longhorn Bevo. They edited the eyes onto Bevo. I think.
Fantastic.
Yeah, it's just very clever stuff. So that's my honorable mention.
That's great.
It only gets better from here, though. So
it does only get better from here. Starting with me.
Starting with Marco.
All right. Yeah. So number 5. My number 5 favorite meme. This is a bit obscure. It's gonna take some explanation.
Oh, okay.
This is a bit niche, so I hope I'm not bending the rules there. Niche. But you did say memes. So this is a meme. This is a meme. Yeah. Okay. So this is a Formula One meme. Formula One has just like NBA, just like basketball, just like NFL, extremely vibrant meme community. Okay. You may not expect that, but it is. So this meme is called Flaming Nico. Okay, so Flaming Nico. The backstory is Nico is of the name Nico Rosberg. He is the 2016 Formula One world champion. As soon as he won that title, it was a very hard-fought title contest between him and his teammate, a guy you might have heard of, Lewis Hamilton.
Yes, I might have heard of him.
I might have heard of him. Yeah,
I can't be friends with Marco and not hear of this person.
Right. Yeah.
Whether it be in PowerPoint form or
and it's not just me these days. It's more people as well that love Lewis. But Nico and Lewis competed against each other. They both drove for the same team, Mercedes. In 2016, they had a big title fight. And at the very end, Nico narrowly won.
So is it like bad blood, or is it?
It's a little bit of bad blood. That was a very tough and strenuous title fight for Lewis and for Nico. It was so tough for Nico that at the end, when he won his title, it was a shock announcement. He retired from Formula One.
Oh, just like
so he won his title, and he didn't. The big thing is that he doesn't let Lewis respond to him by beating him the next year and whatever, right? So obviously Lewis has gone on to like break tons and tons of records in the sport, and he's like the most successful driver of all time. But Nico holds on, he has a world title, 2016 champion, and he is still like a very popular voice within the F1 community. Of course, he's a world champion. Since retiring, he has taken on this YouTube channel.
Of course.
That is a bit silly, a bit, it's Formula One punditry, but it's a bit out there. It's a bit eccentric, because Nico's a kind of an eccentric.
Is he older, or is he?
No, Nico and Lewis are about the same age.
Oh, got it. Okay.
So there's this meme. So Nico is a bit of a meme-y kind of figure, because he's always got some jokes. He's always got something biting to say in the commentary box. So Flaming Nico is a thumbnail that he had for one of his videos where he's saying, I'm hiring for my video production team on his YouTube channel. Yeah. And I'm going to show Eli. I have it right here on my phone. I'm going to show him the thumbnail, and I'm going to put it on the show notes, of course. But it's, I'm hiring. And
I've seen this before.
So because of me. Yeah. So Nico Rosberg is like posing in front of like this explosion. Badass. And he's like pointing at the camera in a very like meme-y, smart ass kind of way. That became like an F1 meme where it would be like Flaming Nico with like a clickbait title for his YouTube channel, and it would be like, "Is Hamilton's career over?" in all caps with question marks and exclamation points. And you would use that like after someone did something bad or whatever, and you would have Flaming Nico there. You'll have like cars like blow up in like big fireballs, but like you can like you can see Nico there like in the fireball of this Formula One car that's on fire. There are a lot of variations on it. But it kind of came to symbolize the eccentricness of the Formula One meme community. So it's a bit niche. It's a bit hard to explain if you're not really into it. Then you may never be into it. But I wanted to shout it out on the bottom of my list because it means a lot to me. Certainly, I use the Flaming Nico a lot for lots of random little things. And there was a version of it that came out after like the COVID pandemic like shut down everything. Like a lot of races were being canceled. There's an edit of him with like a mask on, and it's like he's got like worried eyes and everything. So that's my number 5.
See, I feel like you're exposing me to a culture that I'm not like. Meme culture is a real thing, and I feel like you're like widening my cultural, because I'm
widening your cultural lens.
I know. I'm not familiar with this like meme. Like, I've never seen this format before, except from you, like in exposure to like the memes that you've shown me. And I just feel like I'm learning a lot right here.
Yeah. So let's hear it from you.
My number 5 is it's a classic. It's an OG one. Me to Me. The Kermit meme, the hooded Kermit meme, classic OG. I feel like it just like they're so applicable of like, this like kind of inner dialogue of like you, because the meme sample, and this is not a meme I made or a meme that actually means anything to me. It's just an example of the format because it's very basic. Example is me. I'm going to eat healthy today, and I'm sure that a lot of the listeners are. This is a very popular format. Me to Me Kermit. Kermit's wearing a hood. Kermit's talking to unhooded Kermit. I have no idea. I didn't go into the meme history of this. I actually don't know what's from. But the meme text here is me. I'm going to eat healthy today. Also me. Have you tried this piece of cake yet? Like it's like it's like your inner demons kind of like coming out and like getting a hold of your better half, if that makes sense. It's
For
like,
sure.
It's kind of like it's a good. I think it just works so well because it's a good like imagery like example of that like thing, which is a very like frequent thing of like inner battles.
Kermit the Frog is a meme in his own right too.
Yeah,
this is just one of his many templates that have become very popular over the past few years.
Not to spoil, but going into my subsequent meme
images. Slow your roll there, cowboy. No spoilers.
All I'm saying is that like a lot of these, like you were talking about with Nico, like he's a meme, and like that's become such a thing now. Is like he's a meme. Kermit's a meme. It's such a
true.
Meme.
Yeah. Okay. Like Kanye's a meme.
His life is just a meme. Like he just is memeing his life. And there's and I'll get to someone else on this list. Not going to get to it now, but there's someone else on this list coming up that's like, okay, this person, he's just a meme, and like you just know him, and it's like, oh, he's a meme.
That's difficult. Are we getting into questions about the memification of the culture where people lose their humanity and they just become memes?
And people like, I think that they sell themselves because like if you are a person, it is just kind of like you get famous. Obviously, if you're a meme, you're usually a famous person gets memed. Sometimes it's just random people, but you have to kind of capitalize on that. You don't have to, but a lot of people just do, given our like culture, that you just like kind of capitalize, and it's like you lean into, and then you kind of lose yourself, like leaning into this like identity as like a meme for someone else's like pleasure and like laughing. Obviously, Kermit's not a human being,
Yeah. All right, I'm gonna go for my number 4.
Yes, hit me with it.
My number 4 are cursed emojis. So in case this is not coming top of mind just yet, they are these emoji edits that people make where they swap out the eyes, or they make they make them really creepy or whatever. Obviously, we'll have examples in the show notes because it's a little hard to articulate. But I'm going to show you like this quick picture here, and he'll know exactly what I mean.
I know. I'm familiar. I've seen a lot.
So these are these emojis where they will like superimpose like
this is Marco Core. This is like
this is part of my identity for sure. The cursed emoji. Yeah. These are emoji that are kind of realistic. Some of them will have like very realistic eyes, or they'll have like very well drawn drawings of like hideous teeth, or like the big bulbous like eyes with like the tears in them to show that like they're in love or they want attention or whatever. I love these because these have become like their own little like hieroglyphics language in a way even that emoji aren't. Because they're so much more expressive.
And it's almost like post, like not to get like too like whatever, but it's like almost like postmodern.
And we're gonna get to postmodern with some of mine down the line. We're getting postmodern.
It's just so like, well, I was talking like postmodern in the sense of like it's just so like the meme itself is like, okay, that's one layer, and then it's like what layer. Like, it's funny. I know it's funny, and I think it's funny. But like, what about it is funny? Like, I don't even know what's funny about it anymore.
Some of these are positively like hilarious and surreal.
And
like
where there's unsettling.
no unsettling is a great word. Like some of these are like horror movie style cursed emoji.
Like if I saw this in like a movie, I would be like, that's more terrifying than most like Hollywood like creatures or whatever.
Like some of these but the thing that I like about them is that some of them convey emotion in such a raw and real way that like there's no other way that you can even describe how you're feeling without some of these, particularly like in the romance and like unrequited love sense. Like those are very popular for the cursed emoji, but there's also some of like extreme anger and duress, which are quite good for that as well.
I think that so a lot of them are you mentioned like kind of, the ones I like a lot are the swapped parts of different emoji faces, and it looks really unsettling because it's like supposed to be the same face, but it's like different parts just kind of patched together, like a serial killer would make a face, basically.
Right, exactly.
But it is really because a lot of those, because obviously emojis are supposed to be expressive, and it's like crying, like happy, like angry, whatever. And when you cut them together in such a way, it is really cool because it's like it does like capture, because your face you can't capture. Sometimes you're mad and you're happy. It's like weird. But it's super paradoxical, oxymoronic, whatever you want to call it. Yeah. But it's real. I think it's weird because these memes or these emojis spliced together like express a real human emotion, like you were saying, because it's just so paradoxical, oxymoronic. You can't even express it with a real face. You have to express it with this like artistic.
Right.
Yeah.
And some of these are very well illustrated. I have to say, like some of them are very like cheap, obvious like paint jobs, but the other ones are like wow, like someone like drew this for like a couple of hours and like did a very good job with it.
My number 4, and it's funny because through our entire Kermit discussion, I feel like this was almost leading up to it was, and I promise there was no backstory. There is going to be backstory for a lot of these. I'm sorry, it's just they all inhabit a certain period of my life. So take you back to Game 1 of the 2018 NBA Finals.
Oh, okay. Okay. Just real quick, I have to say something because we're in person now. Yeah. When I mentioned my number 5, which was a Formula 1 meme, I don't know that you realize this, but your face was kind of blank throughout a lot of my explanation.
Oh yeah.
And I think it was because maybe like You're not that interested. Yeah. So now here you are coming back. Now I'm getting fed Reversal. This like basketball thing, which I'm kind of into basketball. I'm more into basketball than I think you are into Formula One. Yes. But it's
I'm not familiar. I think that just culturally, like I don't know, like I don't know these people, if that makes sense. I know Lewis Hamilton through you. I wasn't familiar with Nico as much through you, but but you know LeBron James. And I think you know the second person in this meme as well. Sort
of. I think I know where you're coming with, and I know this. I have it in my head, but I think you're about to give me some like overly long, overly complicated backstory about how this happened. So please,
I'm just gonna say the floor is yours. The basketball savants already know when I say a meme from 2018 Game 1. LeBron, it's the LeBron James J.R. Smith meme.
Yeah.
LeBron's. So just the backstory. LeBron just dropped 51 points against the Golden State Warriors, like the best team in basketball ever. They were tied at game 1 of the finals. LeBron was not supposed to be there. He was supposed to like lose in the second round. But he willed his team, to the finals, and like he's neck and neck. He had one of the best, I think a triple double, 51 point triple double, one of the best performances of his life. Last play. The Cavs had the ball; they can win it right there. And instead of like not to get too deep into it, but instead of like scoring the ball because you have the ball and it's on their side, right?
Yeah.
J.R. Smith like dribbles it out like outside of because he's looking at the clock and the clock's about to expire, thinking that
the shot or the
game clock.
Okay, the game clock. Oh wow!
It was the end of like they're tied. This is the end of the game.
Okay.
And he thought that like they were up. He thought that they had won, but. I think it was George Hill just totally missed 2 of his 2 free throws. He thought that they were up, and he just needed to get the ball away from the Warriors so they could win the game. Turns out they were not up; they were tied. J.R. Smith was not looking, and it's J.R. Smith who's a human meme. Like this man is just a meme. Like there are other J.R. Smith memes like off the Henny J.R. There's a lot of different variants of J.R. Smith. Like this guy is always like he's shirtless, he's drinking Hennessy, he's like a ridiculous guy. And somehow he has like 2 championship rings, but whatever. But anyway, like he just totally messes up this play, and LeBron just had the performance of his life, put his body on the line, and he's just like pointing to the basket. It's like, how did you not, like he was pointing to the scoreboard actually, I think. And he was like, we're going to overtime now, you idiot. And they got blown out in overtime. It was like, not close at all. Like, because this was the moment they were going to win it. Like, they were supposed to win it in this last play. This is supposed to be a legendary LeBron play. And they end up getting swept in the series. Like, so it's a 7-game series. They lose in 4 games. Like, every single game they lose. They were just so close to winning this one game.
Yeah.
And this was, like, really, no one was expecting this. I was watching it live. Like, this is so exciting to me. Talked about the meme more than the backstory. It's just like you can see LeBron's like this man just put his entire life on the line. Like he just put everything out. Like this is this entire season. He loses Kyrie Irving, who's his number 2 player on the team. Like this is the LeBron James. Like he's going beast mode, best performance of his entire career. And this idiot guy just totally messes up. And maybe they would have won, maybe they wouldn't have. Maybe he could have scored, maybe he couldn't have. But like just not even try. It's so like as a basketball fan. As a LeBron James fan, as like a human being, you're just so cringe. And it just makes you want to just cry your eyes out because it was just he put his entire life on the line and this idiot. And it's so expressive of like, because the format is usually just like, it's like something that you're an oversight, basically. It's like you think you're doing the right thing. And then like someone pointing out like, you idiot, look at this.
Yeah.
Making fun of J.R. Smith. But usually you put someone in the place of J.R. Smith, like, come on, like it's just so expressive,
Yeah, that really works, and I mean that you don't even have to be into basketball. Like that image is everywhere of LeBron looking very irritated and like distraught,
and you don't
what just happened.
You don't need any. I gave you tons of backstory, which I don't know if like how much it was appreciated, but
a bit.
Like you don't need to know that. You can just look in his face and say like, okay, I know what's going on here. And I think that it's crazy because I think people kind of like jump onto basketball because of like it's such a cultural thing. It's like, oh, like LeBron James, person I know from like I can talk to people who are like not from this country who don't care about basketball, who are like, oh, LeBron James is the guy in the memes almost,
right?
Or J.R. Smith. Like, LeBron James is the best in the world. Okay, like people know him. Just like I know like Lewis Hamilton or like I know other people that from sports I don't follow. Like like Serena Williams or whatever.
Right.
But J.R. Smith, like he's this, kind of not bottom tier, but he's like, not a great basketball player. But tons of people know his name or at least know his face from this meme, and it's just interesting, just the power of like this entire like format. I think it's a really testament to like, not really the power of basketball as a culture, but more the power of memes like as the culture, All right, hit us with your number 3. Go into the bronze medal.
Oh, the bronze medal. Oh, that's a great way to put that.
Yeah.
So my number 3 is also, it's a bit obscure, but I think more people would have the ability to maybe remember this from a few years ago, 5 years ago.
Love a history lesson.
So I think I mentioned it a few times in the show, but I'm a pretty big Reddit user. I'm a Redditor. That has gotten like a weird, like negative connotation in recent years, which I don't really understand why. Because it's like a very like multifaceted social network. Yeah. You can be in communities if you want to, or if you don't want to be. Yeah. There's communities for everybody.
I think people think that Reddit's 4chan when it's...
I know, but it's really not. I mean, it can be pretty bad, but it's not like 4chan at all. But anyhow, so on Reddit, there's a subreddit that you may have heard of. It's called Me IRL.
Yeah.
So it's like me in real life, which at first it used to be like relatable memes, but then they kind of became surrealist. And now these days it's back to like relatable, but there was that surrealist, absurdist period.
Because I knew it from relatable. Because like Me IRL, it's like, oh, this is me. Like, it's totally me. Yeah.
There was a phase for a good 2 years or so where the memes were, some of them were relatable, but a lot of them were very self-referential, very meta, very like you had to be on Me IRL every day to like understand what were the cultural waves the subcultural waves happening on the subreddit. So I'm gonna get to that.
Okay.
So there was a big like meme war, kind of like more like a meme drought, where this was in October 2016. I remember this so clearly. I was a freshman in college, and I this was like a month before like the biggest election of our lives. Yeah. And I'm on Me IRL like every day, scrolling, seeing what's fun. So this meme, this little like subset of memes is called Meme of the Month, October 2016. It's also referred to as the meme renaissance.
October 2016, that's
very specific.
Right.
And it's 5 years ago. A lot of them aren't actually election related. But but this is kind of a deep cut for those Me IRL people. And I felt old because I was on Me IRL the other day, and like someone didn't know like what the meme war was all about. And I was like, wow, I feel like a sage because I was there for it. So basically at the time on that subreddit, there was a bit of like a tendency to try to ascribe certain memes of the month for every month of the year. So there was like a rolling calendar of what had ended up becoming like the dominant meme template of that month.
Like Salt Bae was one.
Exactly.
And like Zodiac Killer.
And these little calendars actually made their way like well past Me IRL. Like they would end up on Twitter and everything, and people would relate to them. But on Me IRL, there were the popular memes, but there were like the subset of very like hyper specific memes. So there was a bit of a meme war about who would end up becoming the meme of the month. And that is such an insane concept to even think about, because like these things come naturally. And here's this group of hundreds of thousands of people that are fighting with each other. Like, who's going to be the meme of the month? Because we have to like force feed the meme. Yeah. But it's all with like a layer of surrealism and modernist irony and everything. Yeah. It was such a blast to go through, because you had, from one day to the next, the meme of the month contender would change. Yeah. And it was like memes about like this big bear children's cartoon. There were Bionicle memes. It was Star Wars Battlefront memes, like old Battlefront.
Oh man.
They were like
that came out in like 2006 or
so like people were making memes about Star Wars Battlefront
2. Yeah,
people were making memes about that. There were like Roman catapult memes. It was just
time to be alive.
It was, because I look back on some of these like silly calendars, and I'm actually filled with like nostalgia. I remember following this day to day, like, oh, what's gonna be the meme of the month, which is again like such a silly thing to say. It would be like going to Twitter and being like, okay guys, what's the meme of the month? Because like the memes just come naturally, right?
Yeah.
But here's this like weird insular community of like
we get to decide. Like,
we decide the memes.
We're on the pulse of the culture.
And it was great because there was like a point like midway through the month of October where it felt like none of the memes were taking, right? They were like, oh, like the memes are kind of falling away. Like is it Bionic? Is it Bionicle? Is it
crisis?
Exactly. Is it Bionicle? Is it the big blue bear in the house or whatever? But then This is like crazy because when I say this, I don't want you to think that it's like a game where you can make a comeback. It was like this like weird artificial comeback that we all just ran with. The meme of the month ended up becoming the resurgence of Dat Boy. Here comes that boy, the little frog on the scooter. And like that had been a meme like earlier that year in 2016, but then they were like Dat Boy came and saved October 2016. But it's like dumb because it's all fake.
It's all it's like it's like watching WWE almost because it's like you decide the winner. It's so interesting.
Exactly.
It's so weird because like what you're talking about, and again, we talked about NBA, we talked about F1, but this almost feels like another thing of like, in the same way I check the NBA scores, like, or you maybe check the racing results, or you're probably watching them,
right?
But like it's kind of the same thing if you check your phone, like, oh, look at this, like this one's in the running, this one's gonna win.
Exactly, and then there became like the memes about the memes, where it's like I'm gonna try to Google one right now, where it's like all of these characters from all of these like potential meme templates like fighting each other, and it's like when you're trying to be the meme of the month, and it's like this has gone way far beyond the intended purpose of the subreddit, which is supposed to be relatable memes. These aren't even relatable. These are just like a stupid ironic meme war.
It's so interesting. That's the forum that they found for this discussion was like it's so interesting to me.
I mean, and nowadays the subreddit's kind of more sterile. It's a bit more like these are just relatable memes, but like back then it used to be like a hive mind of absurdity.
That's beautiful. I mean, it's beautiful. Like it's like obviously it's like whatever, but its own way it's like beautiful. It's just like we're all in on this together.
I didn't do you
have the calendar? Like do you have
I do have like this, so I will put in the show notes a Know Your Meme article, and a lot of these are going to get Know Your Meme articles on the show notes. But in particular, this one, I want people to read it because I can't do it justice from how I'm describing it. I'm going to go ahead and like...
Picture 1,000 words, man.
Exactly. So I'll put that in the show notes for you guys to look at and read. I'm going to send Eli a quick calendar. I'll send it to you on your messenger so you can see like just what nonsense was just going on. So this is the meme of so it became the meme of the day, October 2016. So this is like one from like the 10th. And I'm telling you, it's like the big bear, skeleton, Skeletor, Roman Empire, Bionicles. And
it's just
The reason why this is my number 3, my bronze pick, is you got to remember when this was happening.
The cultural moment,
October 2016. It was the month before the election. It was a big month for me. That was my first semester in college. You got to remember, first semester on my own, doing all this, like having all this free time, and like working hard, hardly working. Like looking at my phone.
Freshman year is like a peak meme time. It makes that makes sense. Like I was more in touch at that point in time.
I feel like you since it's such a momentous moment in your life,
you kind of like find like nice like peace in looking at your phone and seeing something like
and you gravitate towards like in your old age, you gravitate towards the things that made you nostalgic during that time. So I often look back a lot on like albums and movies that came out when I was a first semester freshman. So this meme thing, the meme war happened as like on my 3rd month of college. Like perfect.
All right, awesome. I love that. That's a great bronze medal. So my bronze medal pick, he got the bronze medal in the election.
What?
Bernie Sanders in the chair meme. That one hurt a little bit, didn't it?
I was like, Gary Johnson memes? Is that what's going on? Because he got 3rd place.
I mean, I guess technically, yes, Gary Johnson did get 3rd place. I'm talking about 3rd place of like, I don't know. And he was 3rd place. He was 1st place in our hearts.
Oh, okay.
Maybe 3rd place in, I don't know, like.
All right, this is tired. Let's keep moving.
Okay. Bernie Sanders in the chair. We don't need like too much back. It was this year. We don't need too much backstory. I'm sure everyone saw this. Like this was everywhere. Like any sort of like social platform. It didn't matter if it was political or if it wasn't. Like everyone was kind of hopped on this meme of like just this senator from Vermont who obviously famously ran for president.
Right.
Very close, very progressive. Don't need to get into the politics of it. He was out at Joe Biden's inauguration. It was very cold. It's winter in DC. Like that's a very cold environment. Everyone's like kind of like huddled up and like, but most people are wearing suits. Like everyone's looking nice. Like obviously Joe Biden has to be presentable, all that
for sure.
But you see Bernie Sanders in his like looks like kind of a North Face looking jacket. Like hand knit, like kind of like mittens, right? These guys mask on, obviously it's like COVID time, pre-vaccination efforts, whatever, everything's social distance. And you just see this, he's just like kind of like hunched over and just like, he looks like so fed up with it. And I think that I'm not really sure what the backstory is. I think maybe he was being frustrated that it wasn't him, maybe. Like that was the whole meme format, was like, it was frustrating.
That was like...
Not that it was him, but like it wasn't progressive, like it was Joe Biden.
Well, it was I think people like added that
reading into it
for him, but I actually think the real answer is always the easiest one.
Yeah.
I think he's just cold and tired.
Yeah, he's cold and tired. Like that's so real.
That's it.
And I think it for even non-political people, I think it like kind of like went crazy because it was just this grumpy old man kind of looking thing. And I remember like he was photoshopped to be, you know, everywhere, like because it's just a man in the chair, so you can Photoshop him just to put him
doing anything.
Sitting, I saw him like sitting on like, you know, the like Eiffel Tower, like sitting like random places, just like
he's on. There was one of him like on the CN Tower on the Views album cover.
The Last Supper was another one. Like it was just like all the apostles, and he was just like sitting there, like, you know, it just like it's such a funny image in of itself, and that's why I think that a lot of these, because all these have like a lot of backstory, right? And I think it's just interesting because it's like what it comes down to is this is just, even without the context, even without it being a format, you just look at this image and it's like, that's kind of funny looking. It's like this old man just like hunched over, like super cold. Same thing with any of these expression ones, like, you know, just looking at it, just this is ridiculous. Like this just looks funny, like visually funny.
Yeah.
You don't need the backstory for it just to laugh at it. But like the backstory, obviously, it's not going to blow up unless you have this backstory. But yeah, no, I just think it's, I mean, I watched the inauguration, maybe not all of it, but I like saw this happen as it was happening. And I was just like, wow, like, you know, I was obviously everyone was kind of overcome with emotion because of, you know, whether it's positive or negative emotions, like a very polarizing election. And then you just come out of the ceremony with this weird, like kind of funny Bernie Sanders meme that, I don't know if it was like a unifying moment or anything, but I just thought it was funny. It was just like everyone can get a laugh at this little thing, you know, no matter who you voted for. I think it
was great. I mean, Bernie is also another one of these people that have just become a meme in their own right. Yeah, like there are multiple Bernie memes,
and he's like such like leverage that, you know.
Oh, of course, you have to. He's a politician.
Yeah, you have to as a politician, but also it's in, like, you know, most people leverage it to, like, you know, make a bunch of money, or like, you know, go to the conferences, people take your pictures, whatever. But like Bernie's like really like leveraged it to be, you know, political clout, whatever. Yeah, so it's like shout out to him.
Do some real good. Yeah, shout out to Bernie.
All right, who's your silver? Who takes the silver medal?
All right, my silver medal is the most recent meme on my list here. I try not to be.
I think that's cool.
I try not to have recency bias. That's like a big problem with like ranking stuff. So I really tried to go back, scrape the catalog, and that's how I was able to, you know, remember, you know, meme of the month, and you know, I tried to get some obscure ones, you know, Flaming Nico.
I think Bernie was my most recent, so yeah.
This one is just all, for a while it was all encompassing. You couldn't run, you couldn't hide from it, and I think you might know what I'm talking about. My second favorite meme is Among Us memes.
Wow.
Dude, I cannot tell you how much I love the stupid, surreal Among Us cultural phenomenon. It was more than just a game that was popular, because that's what it was at first. It was a game that was popular, and then it has transcended into this like ridiculous, like multiple irony levels of absurdism.
It's so interesting because the art really does lend itself to memeage.
It does. Like. It does. It's so simple, and my, you know, it started off very slow, right? It started off with, hey, this is a game that's popular. And every now and then there are popular games, right? There was like Fall Guys, Fortnite, and obviously Minecraft is like sustainably popular.
And all those got memed, you know, whether it was...
All those have memes,
And I feel like, you know, some of them were trying to be, you know, meme themselves. Maybe like Fortnite was like trying to get on the meme, cashing out. You know?
And like Among Us was great because it was an example of a game that had already actually come out like 2 years before the pandemic even started, but it had like grown to become really popular because of the situation, because it's a social party game that you can do digitally and everyone was inside, right? That was the first wave. It was like very, very cookie cutter boilerplate. This is a popular game, right? And then the memes started, where people started, you know, making jokes that like they could see the crewmates, the little crewmate characters everywhere, right? So that's another meme category. That's like things that look like Among Us, and then people were making jokes of like, get it out of my head, I can't escape. The crewmates are everywhere.
Because it is such a simple like graphic kind of design of it, just like, okay, it's a crew member. It's got like a circle on like a colored body. Like you can see it a lot of places,
right? And people make stretches and everything, but then there has become like art where it is like simple looking things, but they are so obviously drawn to be like the little Among Us crewmates. But it's like a wall of like stuff, but it's like Among Us crewmates.
It's like intentional.
It's intentionally to remind you of that. That's like the first leg of it where it started getting absurd, and then it became like Amogus, where it's like the shortened version where the name itself is like a meme. There's like a song that goes with it. Like the crewmates are like, there's some like really hideous animations of like the crewmates like shaking their asses, and then there's like the Among Us drip where it's like the Among Us crewmate with like the Louis Vuitton Jordan 1s and like Supreme logos all over him.
Hype beast
Among Us crewmate.
Yeah.
Like I'm judging by the look on your face because I can see you this time.
Yeah, nice. Yeah.
Do you spend much time on TikTok these days?
Not these days.
Okay.
During this period, I did though.
You give me some confused looks as if like you don't know what I'm talking about with like the Amogus and all that stuff.
I don't know what that is. That word is unfamiliar to me.
That is just like a shortening of that, and it refers to like the absurdism aspect of the Among Us fandom. Amogus is a bastardized version of this is from knowyourmeme.com. Amogus is a bastardized version of the name of the 2018 video game Among Us. In January 2021, the word gained popularity as a catchphrase used in ironic memes, often used to replace dialogue in cartoons, and as a way of spamming the phrase alongside, this is another element, the word sus.
Yeah,
sus became like its own cultural thing. Yeah. Additionally, Amogus refers to the simplified drawing of a crewmate from Among Us used in the memes.
And it's so funny because simplified drawing, I've seen these drawings, but it's already so simple of a graphical, like, the drawing of the crew member is just so like, zip, like it's really quick drawing.
There are TikToks where like the whole TikTok is like a fake out. Where like you think you're watching a normal TikTok until you see like a little thing that looks like an Among Us crewmate, and then the stupid song starts playing. Boom, 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 boom. It
really capitalizes on kind of like the visceral kind of terror you have when you're playing that game of like when you're getting chased down or whatever. It's like no, like you were like yeah.
And I think these days like I don't know anyone that's actually like playing the game. I think they're just enjoying the memes now. Like the memes have become the visceral reaction, I feel.
And that's interesting because it's interesting how memes can kind of like catapult a brand to success. And like we were talking about how Bernie's capitalizing on his branding of a meme lord, different people like that. But I think it's interesting because it's like now the brand is not getting any benefit. I mean, I'm sure, there's no such thing as bad press, but like bad attention or whatever. But it's like, the meme is more popular than the thing. They're not really getting money from that, which is, I think it's hilarious.
All right, what's your silver medal?
This silver medal this has had maintained a very long shelf life because I think it's just so ridiculous. And again, you were more prepared on this because I didn't do my due diligence of finding all the know your meme stuff but it's the butterfly meme. I'm sure you're familiar with it. Is this meme?
Oh yeah.
Is this is the original format is like, is this a pigeon? I think it's from some sort of like Japanese show, I think.
Right. Or like an anime or something.
And it's like, someone like, I think it's like a learning, television type thing, like PBS kind of type thing where it's like, is this a pigeon? And it's like, no, this is a butterfly. And it's like, the meme format is like, kind of like making fun of people's ignorance about certain things and people kind of conflating terms or like ideas or concepts.
Yeah. A lot. This gets very popular use among like the lefter circles on Twitter where you talk about like a lot of these terms.
Or I've seen it on the right even too of like the whole like whatever dumb right jokes. But like
not a political podcast.
Yeah, not a political. But like just to give a format like kind of example. Like I know it was like Medicare for all, and it's like, is this communism or something like that? Like,
exactly. Yeah. So you're aping the right a little bit.
The ridiculously comes from the fact, I'm not sure who. Again, I don't know what the origin is, but I'm sure that someone was watching this show and it's like, is this a pigeon? Like that's just such dumb. Like no one just thinks a butterfly is a pigeon, Right. And like this is an adult human person. Like I just don't. It's just so ridiculous of an image. Like they were just like kind of making fun of this kind of ridiculousness, and it is so. This one I like a lot because it is so like relatable, and it's such like a, I don't know, it's not relatable in the sense of like the crying Jordans, like, oh, that's sadness and like the emotional. It's relatable and just like you can just put so much stuff into this meme format. But yeah, no, I definitely like, I've used this a lot. Like I know you and I have like done communications work where we've had to meme, you know.
Yeah. Oh yeah. We're always memeing.
Pro memers in the house. I've used this one. It's so easy to use, and like it's just. I don't know.
You just reminded me that I'm too bad that I missed the boat on being political communications, because I had already like retired by the time like the Among Us memes especially were really popular. I would have killed to do some college Democrat amogus things.
Yeah.
See if they won't see if
they won't censor you.
Right. But you're right. But those memes, particularly the ones that you've been mentioning, those are like the safer ones to parody, for this line of work. And so often they just tell you, be funny for the young people, and you're supposed to like interpret that in like a really sterile way that isn't even funny at all.
And this people. Some of them can definitely be sterile, but some of them can be like a little bit more left field. Like
you want something a little edgy. That's the thing.
Exactly. And like when people, it's hilarious when I in any of my communications work, like whether it was like when I did yearbook or when I did political communications or whatever, it's just so ironic to have this old man telling you like, be edgy, and like you said, and it's like, you don't know what that means, and like how you're supposed to be teaching me how to communicate, and you don't even know, you're not on the pulse, like you don't know what's going on right now.
You're not supposed to like, that's not an instruction. That's just your MO.
And it's so cringy to be like, be edgy. It's like, that's the least edgy thing you can possibly say. It's like you're ruining being edgy by saying be edgy.
Yeah. All right. Gold medal memes now.
All right, yeah.
Golds only
S-tier.
From now on. S tier, quadruple S tier, right here. Okay, my number one.
All right.
My number one.
So much. I like this visual buildup because like we can actually see each other.
Right.
And it's, like he's on the edge of his seat. Like there's legitimate like.
My number one meme. E.
Oh God, this is so predictable. I don't even know. I was like I was on the edge of my seat.
No,
I don't know why.
Predictable
for you. That's your whole brand.
But did you expect it?
I didn't expect. I should have. I now I'm beating myself up for not expecting.
Okay,
it, really.
so you got to temper your expectations.
I know. I should just known. Like, of course. Like
it has to be E.
It has. I don't know who all is familiar with this. I think a lot of people
Most people should be.
I was introduced to it from you. Like you were making it. Like you like made this part of your brand.
It's not only me, but
I'm pointing the finger at you this time.
It is my fault.
Yeah. So. You gotta see it. This is one of the ones you really like. All of yours are very visual. I feel like, but you've got to see this one.
They're all pretty visual.
They're very visual experience.
So there was a trend, and I think this trend has like continually informed some of the meme trends we see today. But like this was its own thing for a while. Mm-hmm. In 2018, there were these series of memes where they were just like silly photoshops of people with like letters on them. With just like individual letters for a while. But like the most popular of them is this like combination of Mark Zuckerberg. So this is a picture of Mark Zuckerberg testifying in front of Congress. It is Mark Zuckerberg, but his face is like a merge of the popular YouTuber Markiplier with Lord Farquaad from Shrek.
I actually didn't get I didn't notice the Markiplier was in that.
Yeah, but he's in there.
I just saw the Farquaad. Like, the chin is so iconic.
It is. So this is this image of, again, the body of Mark Zuckerberg.
Yeah.
Like the faces of Lord Farquaad and Markiplier, and like the hair of Lord Farquaad, the ridiculous hair that he has.
Yeah.
And it's deep fried. It's very toasty, and it's
so deep fried, like just like you sizzled it,
and then in the bottom where you might have like meme text, it's just E. It's the letter E. And I swear to God, that stuff had me in stitches for like years. Okay?
So like, just to give some context, like when I was introduced to this meme by Marco, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
I was like looking into it and I was like, wait, so is this like a political statement on like like Lord Farquaad, Mark Zuckerberg.
No.
What does E stand for? Like, does it mean
nothing?
Something?
It stands
is
for
it
nothing.
reverse 3? Like, what am I supposed to be reading into this? And then I just had to come to the conclusions, like, it's nothing and it means nothing. And I think that, like, when I came to that conclusion, that's when I started to laugh of, like, this almost, like, serial killer laugh of, like, the world is meaningless. Like,
and this became, like the edge case, or like the poster child for how surreal Gen Z humor was getting. This was, like, the pioneer.
I'm sure people wrote, like, articles on this.
Exactly.
This was, like, the post-ironic peak almost. And maybe not peak, but it was a post-ironic, like, popularity peak.
Well, this was like it really spearheaded that whole thing, I think.
Maybe it wasn't peak, but it was like the start of it. And
these memes in particular really went very closely with, like, the Despacito memes that were also like became their own surreal, where people were like, Despacito 2, when is it gonna come out? And it's like Despacito is like its own meme category at this point, but like they were like, that trend was very closely connected with this E thing. It is almost too hard to explain. I'll put links in the show notes with everything, of course.
I mean, I think you did a good job of explaining what it is. It's just putting it all, it's not funny until you put it all together. Because if you just explain to someone, like, oh yeah, it's like Lord Farquaad, you know Shrek, and then like Mark Zuckerberg, you know Facebook, and like Markiplier, you know YouTube, and then Steep Ride, you know that. You can try and visually put it together, but you don't really get the full effect unless you see it all together, if that makes sense.
These were often used to compare and contrast, like, the memes of today with the memes of then. Yeah. So this is like memes then, and it's like one of those very, like, boilerplate memes with, like, you know, if I downloaded a movie in Jamaica, am I a pirate of the Caribbean? And it's like really stupid. And then it's like memes now, and it's just
it's like
it's E.
But at least
it's not even a joke.
At least the first one's like, it's dumb, but it's like, at least it's clever. It's like, oh, Pirates of the Caribbean, like,
it triggers that own response though, like the E does. Maybe not for you. I think maybe you're kind of an E skeptic.
I'm an E skeptic. Yeah,
you're an E skeptic.
I'm an E on the fence. I'm on the E fence.
You're on the electronic fence.
Yes, yeah, and it's, you know, it's tasing me, man. It's
okay.
It's
all right.
So I think that makes total sense. That's your, like, branding. Like, that's the Marco. Okay.
Okay.
This one for me. So I knew that my top, and I'm gonna take the mic. I'm just kidding.
Okay.
But I'm gonna go into my number one.
Go ahead.
Okay. I'm gonna hit it. I knew it had to be a SpongeBob one because just
okay,
so much judgment in that.
Okay, I'm all right.
So I knew it had to be a SpongeBob one. I knew a SpongeBob one had to be on there. I didn't know it was gonna be my top one, but, like, I was going through them and I was like, okay, this is where I'm gonna put it. I just didn't know, because SpongeBob was so, like, influential for me growing up, and it's so easy in the same way that Among Us, I think, was really easy to meme because it was so ridiculous, kind of like funny artistically,
right,
like cartoonish, whatever. SpongeBob has so many moments like that, and especially with reactions, like, a lot of his reactions are, like, over the top, and it's really easy to also, because of the art style, you can kind of, like, exaggerate certain things.
For sure.
You can make, you can deep fry it, but you can also, like, adjust the image or whatever. But this one is just classic, and I don't know what episode it's from. Again, like, no backstory really on that. But I'm a head out.
Okay, good.
Thank you.
For a split second, when you were mentioning SpongeBob, and I was like, "Oh no, it's not going to be the one where he's like squatting like a bird, and he's just repeating words." That's not a meme. You're just repeating words. You know, you know what I'm talking about?
Oh, you just said E is your meme, and mine
has layers of cultural context. Okay,
yeah,
but you know what? Item a Head Out is great because it has like. It also has a surrealist bent to it. Yeah. There's also something visceral about it. Yeah.
So for a solid period of time, I think it was like 2018 maybe. Whenever I left anywhere, it was so annoying. I was just like, I'm gonna head out. Like,
exactly. Everyone was saying that. And it was a moment.
And you stop saying it. It's kind of the thing when it's like you start saying like I remember in like middle school, you like start saying like, you know, LOL, like ironically of like
right.
You start like you put adding like abbreviations to your speech, and then it becomes supposedly it's ironic, but then you say LOL unironically, and you're like, who am I?
Yeah.
And this was kind of like not even who am I, because it was like, you know, whatever. But it was just like you just said it, and you just like you kind of have to look at yourself for a second. It's like I just like absentmindedly am saying I'm a head out.
Yeah.
And it's like so, and the image, it's like pretty funny itself, because it's like I'm sure everyone's kind of familiar with it. It's like SpongeBob like getting out of his chair with his remote control, like about to leave his house, I guess. He looks really tired. I think that definitely adds something to it.
Yeah, that adds to like the, I'm tired. Like this is the worst social situation I've been in. I'm going home.
And the thing is, I feel bad because I think that people, when I say like I'm at a party or something like that, and like I tell the host like I'm head out, I think people like take it and like, oh, you're not having a good time. But it's like, no, I just say it because it's like a fun thing to say.
Yeah.
And I'm just memeing like myself, and like again, like I said, I'm not even memeing anymore. I'm just saying words because
you're just saying words.
Just out here saying words. And like you know me, I be saying words like that. That's why we got this podcast, man. Just so we can say all the words.
Say all the words, yeah.
But no, I was like, you just say I'm a head out, and you just like head out, and like it's just so easy. And it is funny just to say it in regular conversation. It's funny when you do use it as part of like its meaning of like, this is lame, I'm a head out, like because I've done that before. Like like it's like I think like maybe like during class like I'll be like, I'm head out, like this is like not for me today, or something like
I don't have to be here, I'm skipping class.
yeah something like that. Like it's just like let's...
I mean like, and like like you've been to some like crap party,
and you tell your friend
there's no one there, like there's only two people, there's the beer is hot, and you're just like, I'm head out.
Your friend is like talking to a girl or something like you don't really have anyone there, and you're just like
your friend is talking to the girl that you were interested in, and you're just like, I'm gonna head out and get some Taco Bell.
You just like kind of roll your eyes a bit. Exactly. Like, that's kind of what the meme, like he's like tired looking, like but like also kind of like almost rolling his eyes.
There's a common trend, I think my memes, they kind of, a lot of them touch on like a certain like surrealist bent, but I think yours hit a much more like visceral, like as soon as you see it, know what it means, right? So this one in like LeBron and I'm struggling to remember
Jordan,
Crying Jordan and them. I think they really hit on that visceral, like you see it, know it.
Yeah, and you don't even need like I like the backstory because again, like I'm a SpongeBob fan, I'm a LeBron fan, I'm a Jordan fan. Like I like these, like yes, you can be a LeBron and Jordan fan.
Of course you can. What the hell? Who says that?
Get on NBA Twitter, man.
They didn't even like play together competitively.
They did no.
I mean, not in any real way. I mean, the Wizards don't count. I'm sorry, they don't.
There was no overlap either.
No, like, there's no significant overlap. So like, no.
It's whatever. Like people are like, oh, LeBron's the GOAT, or like Michael Jordan's the GOAT, whatever. NBA Twitter, man. But anyway, I'm a fan of these, but like, so I like the added layer of like, oh, I know the 2018 finals. Oh, I know it's a Hall of Fame speech for Jordan. Like, I know that like SpongeBob, like he's expressive. I don't know, but it's cool because it just adds like a cultural layer almost to like, this is another, I don't know, this is like another thing that we're kind of adding onto this. And it's just like a lot of fun. And like, it feels like I more deeply appreciate that moment of 2018. Because like I've like throughout studying the meme, not like I'm not going to the library, but like
going to the meme university.
But throughout my time of like just having a meme, you just kind of are like, I'm familiar with this. Like I don't know, it's fun, it's cool.
By the time this is released, maybe mid-June, who knows? It'll be our longest break. Well, the longest official break between episodes of the podcast. You've taken a big break from the end of April through May, through a good chunk of June. Today, as we record, it's May 29th, but I'm doing some traveling. My birthday is on June 3rd, so I'll be kind of out of commission in terms of editing.
Happy birthday, Mark.
Thank you. Happy early birthday to me. Thank you very much.
Or late birthday.
We actually had a birthday for you. We did, happy birthday for you earlier, and now it's happy birthday for me.
I like this continuity.
I do. I like it. It does establish us as like living, breathing humans with birthdays, which is very good. But the biggest reason why we're taking this little sabbatical is your graduation.
Yeah.
Happy graduation. Congratulations. I must have told you congrats over the phone or everything, but I really do wish you congratulations. It is, those of you that have completed a bachelor's degree know that it's no easy feat, and that the challenges are different for everybody. For a lot of people, it's one of the hardest things they do in their entire lives, sustained over a very long period of time. 4 years is not nothing. So
especially, these 4 years, like the past, this especially past year and a half-ish, like that's a whole other, and it's not just me, everyone like in my graduating class, even the graduation class before your class, missing graduation, like having to go home, It's been a very different college road for everyone for sure. I remember I was talking about this with people. Is which class has it the worst? My class, which has missed my entire senior year basically, and part of my sophomore year. Your class, but at least I had a normal graduation, and we'll get that in a second. Like I did have a ceremony. I did have a lot of the normal things, different normal things, but still normal-ish things. Marco's graduation year last year, didn't have any sort of like semblance of a graduation ceremony except for some slides on a Google
probably one of the lower moments of my college career, having it all summed up in a slide deck.
Yeah, and then someone who's like now a junior, going into their senior year, who it's like the entire middle of their, there was a huge disruption. At least for me, it was in the back end. I got to have like some continuity for my front end of college, but the back end was just hit with the pandemic. But then there's some people who have in the middle of their year is just this break of a year and a half. Or people who were freshmen now are sophomores, ending their sophomore year, who the entire first year and a half of it's just everyone has a bad and I'm thankful that I'm graduating now. Everyone seems like had such a difficult road to get here. Like I said before, I did have a graduation ceremony. It was a fun time. We had Bob Iger be our graduation speaker.
Okay.
Those of you who don't know, is the CEO, creative director, like head honcho at Disney, basically.
That's a solid get.
That was a solid get.
In terms of gets, that's one of the bigger ones.
It's no Matthew McConaughey.
It ain't, what's his name?
McRaven. I don't know if that's who you're referencing.
Who it ain't? Oh, what's his name? Tim Cook. Tim Cook it ain't.
Tim Cook. It's no Tim Apple.
Tim Apple? Wow.
But,
this is a political podcast.
That's maybe a deep cut political podcast. But yeah, so Mr. Iger. So I didn't know this, but apparently Bob Iger's son is a UT student. McCombs.
Okay. All right. That's enough. Thank you. That's enough.
This is a political podcast.
Okay.
But yeah, so Bob Iger's son was there, and that's why he was doing our graduation. It was like it was a really surreal moment with just. So originally I was considering not going to graduation ceremony, and it was partially because of COVID, but not really entirely. It was just kind of like, I had my high school graduation. My high school graduation was just kind of like, I don't know. I almost like passed out in my high school graduation because I was like so hot, and there was like robes, and it was.
Oh, did you have an outdoor graduation?
No, it was in a big room, but it was just like really drafty, so it was really like hot. Like it was just like it was not very well air conditioned, and like because honestly I wish it was outside, so at least there would be a breeze, but because it was like enclosed and poorly air conditioned, it was just this bad combination.
No good. Yeah.
But obviously like this UT is very different than high school. Graduation from university is very different than graduating from high school.
For sure.
But like, it was just, I thought it would be this whole thing where I'm just like shaking hands with someone I don't know and grabbing a diploma. It wasn't really anything like that, because I only went to the university-wide commencement, where, you don't walk, there's 1,000 people in the stadium. You don't walk up and get your diploma.
Oh, God. But you do get it for your college specific one, right?
Yeah. So actually, I'm not 100% sure, because I didn't go to that one.
Okay.
I'm guessing I'm going to get it in the mail, maybe.
Yeah, probably. I got mine in the mail.
Yeah, hopefully I get mine in the mail. So I can put it on my mantle, just look it real nice. But yeah, no, it was a good ceremony. Like, it was definitely weird having the CEO of Disney kind of give us a speech. It was really funny because he was talking about like being bold, and like it kind of came off like a little cringe, like, again, not to get too political, but he was he was like, I like, he was talking about being bold, and like, he was like, the number one advice I can give you is be bold, because they always have the number one advice, like, no matter who's your graduation person, whether it's like, I remember we had someone at UT who was like, my one advice I'd give to you is make your bed every day. And like, yeah, Marco just rolled your eyes to the viewership. But this time his was be bold, which is cool advice. But his example of being bold was like, I greenlit Black Panther, which was an all black movie. And I'm super woke, and like I was super bold, and I was like, oh man, that's a little cringe. And he talked about Coco too.
I was so bold in greenlighting a movie that was guaranteed to print money.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was so bold.
He talked about Coco too, which I guess was maybe a bit more of a risk. because it's like,
well, Pixar had not been doing super well by that point. I mean, this is now getting this is now a movie podcast, but so Coco is a bit more of a risk. Black Panther, I mean, they had been coming off
Marvel was just printing money,
had been coming off the heels of many successful movies. I don't think they've had a bomb yet.
They introduced the character in a previous movie too, and he was very like fan favorite.
This was very well known to be a fan favorite, and I don't think Marvel had bombed yet. Pixar had already bombed once.
Pixar, they had a little dud moments.
They had already. I mean, the 2010s have not been very kind to Pixar. This is now a movie review podcast. But anyway, so back to
Coco, man.
So Bob, so Coco, great movie.
Great movie.
So Bob Iger, very cringe.
Yeah, very cringe. Bob Iger, very cringe. I don't know what it is about, like, you know, and hopefully no UT officials or anyone important is listening. Anyone that's like, you know, marginally like going to affect my career, but like it's always weird. I feel like all the college, and you know, maybe this is just UT stuff. And you know, call me out if I'm being, you know, a little bit unfair, but like everyone just seems so fake. And maybe it's not like a UT thing. Maybe it's not like you know, like our president of our university thing. But like maybe it's just a thing of like when you're in front of 1,000 people, you just come off a little fake. But it did seem like it just was very, his speech, our president's speech was very like robotic. It felt like, I don't know. At least Bob Iger was like legitimate. But like, yeah, it was kind of a fake like speech. But it was also weird having our university-wide president, like student body president or student, well, I don't even remember what it's called. It's so pointless.
The SG president?
SG, student government.
Student government president.
Thank you. That's the word for it.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't know you. Like, she's just like giving this like speech, and she was like, thank you all for electing me. And I was like, what have you like done this past year?
I feel like I don't know anything about it. I feel silly. What?
Well, yeah.
Wait, was this the...
It's like... What?
Was this the outgoing one? Because I think they leave in May.
Yeah. So this is the outgoing one. So it was the person that you could have voted on.
I could have voted for them, but I didn't because I'd already stopped caring about SG by then.
Probably a good call.
Okay.
Yeah, SG is not... It's student government. I don't know if this is just a UT thing again, but student government is just such a joke, I feel like. But anyway.
I mean, we could make a whole podcast episode about student government follies and disasters. I mean, that is a... I mean, those listening that don't know anything about this stuff, it might be boring, but like, I think it's because SG at UT has such a torrid reputation, you know. It's not in good shape. So when Eli, he's right. He you know, there's a person that... I mean, you know, God love them. I mean, they got elected. Good for them, right?
Yeah, you got elected. Probably, you know, hundreds of students voted for you.
Okay.
Tens of students voted for you.
Okay, Eli, getting a little political. But I totally recognize that. Like, you're like a person. You're watching somebody who, whether they're trying to be or not, they're trying to be very worthy. Yeah. And you just don't feel that worth. I mean, Bob Iger. I mean, CEO Disney.
He's big ballin'.
That's a real person.
And one of the most successful tenures. Because I know the previous Disney CEO was not as successful. I know, but like he's had a very successful tenure.
Yeah, but I agree with you that messaging can fall flat, particularly if you've got some more critical ideas about the system that we live in. Which, you know,
and I would say mirror that exactly with the discussion of our university president. You know, not the student body president, like the adult who is the president of our university,
right? The person that actually calls the shots.
And like he's been here for like, yes, he actually calls the shots, but he's been here for a year. He's done a lot of like unpopular things. Like you can read about this stuff. You know, it's University of Texas. You can read about this stuff on CNN. Like, we're not going to tell you about it.
Well, I'll find some links and put them in the show notes so you can see how controversial. I'll be charitable. How controversial he's been.
Very short tenure. Like, I think it was in the middle of COVID that our previous president of our university
he just dipped,
which I think is hilarious in and of itself. It's just like in the middle of COVID, like biggest like disruption of academics since the World War II, and he just like, I'm out. Peace out. But whatever. Bygones be bygones, whatever. But yeah, no, graduation itself, honestly, the most surreal moment, which graduation was cool, wore the cap, wore the gown. It was a lot of fun. It was funny because I was all dressed up. It was a big deal. You know, my parents, I guess my grandfather went to college, but my dad on his side of the family, he was the first generation person to go to college. maybe not the first person, but like the first one of his generation. Like his parents didn't go to college. And it was like a big deal. Graduation is like still a big deal, I think, for anyone. But for me, like I wore the tie, I wore the, the nice shirt and all that. But it was like for some of my friends, like one of my friends like rolled up wearing the Vans. One of my friends rolled up wearing the Birkenstocks, like in shorts.
You'll have that whole spectrum of folks that take it seriously or they don't.
Yes, and like I'm all for not taking it seriously, and I'm all for not taking it too if there's such thing as taking it too seriously.
For sure,
I get. Yeah. But like it's a big moment, and I just thought it was, and I don't have any problem with you wear what you want to wear, but I just thought it was funny. Just like everyone's kind of got different. I think. We were talking about earlier, I think part of this is COVID is just, you're getting used to like going out in front of people. Like it's just a whole adjustment. But anyway, like for me, the real surreal moment with graduation when I was like, I'm graduating, this is over, which has been a super weird thing because I mean, like for high school graduation, it's just like, you're never going to see these people again. You're never going to come to this school again. Like you're done. Like it's just hard. Most people like don't go to school in their like hometown, don't go to college in their hometown, or don't stay in their hometown whether they're going to college or not. But like, so I it was a big gap, right? Houston to Austin, where I went to high school, Austin where I'm going to college. But I'm working in Austin afterwards, so I'm going to stay here in Austin. And this entire semester was on the computer. I'm still going to be working at my computer tomorrow, the next day, and probably the next month. But anyway, like it was just the moment that really hit me, was when, I took my senior photos, which was like, I went on campus to take them. I had all been vaccinated, so we weren't as worried about like, COVID stuff. But it was one of the first times, not one of the first times, but was one of a significant time this semester of me going to the university, because I usually don't go because all my classes are online. But that was really me putting on the cap and gown for the first time, me getting suited up. That was the moment where I was like, okay, I'm graduating, and like, let's get ready for this, this next chapter. Which, I think even for you, you could say, like, I'm complaining right now of like, oh, it was like a weird graduation, blah, blah, blah. But like for you, you've been graduating for the past year. It feels like it's like this prolonged thing of like, getting everything going,
Well, it's been very difficult for me because I haven't been able to find like secure employment. I've had a few like campaign jobs here and there, but nothing that would put a roof over my head. I've been grateful for those positions, but nothing too lucrative or anything. It's funny you mentioned high school, which is, I think, kind of like a punchline for a lot of people, just like the whole idea of like a high school graduation and everything. I want to go ahead and tack to the counterpoint. Not that I expect to convince anybody, but this is just how it was for me. You mentioned that you were kind of in like a hot room and it didn't really feel like much for you. And it is true that for most people, high school is kind of a forgettable experience, and that you don't see most of those people, if any of them, ever again. You don't really think about them.
And I do want to clarify, I am friends with a lot of... I'm just saying like 90% of people.
There are people that are listening that are like, oh, I thought I was your friend, Eli.
Betrayal,
why did you do this podcast with me? But I think for most people, it's... Whether you're friends with some of them or not, like it's not going to be the connection, the amount of connections you had when you were actually like taking those classes with those folks, right? Day to day. I felt that. I look at myself today, I don't have a lot of attachment to a lot of my experiences in high school. I mean, obviously they've informed and influenced who I am, but I don't look at it more than that. However, I will say one thing in defense of my high school graduation, the ceremony. It really promoted a sense of final camaraderie because of the way they did it. So I'll explain. So they rounded us up at the gym of my high school, right? So you had to like pass this like gate, this little like literal gatekeeping. They were like, you can't have your phone, so we're checking your phones and a lot of things. And I guess there was a point to that to prevent distractions and everything. And they had to like you're wearing the cap and gown, but you had to be dressed business professional underneath. So I wore like a suit and tie underneath it.
Fresh. Always fresh.
But it was great because it really worked because they transported us from the gym of the high school to the convention center, which also doubles as like a stadium, a little arena in Laredo. So it's like the biggest venue in Laredo.
Wait, so for the entire drive, you didn't have your phone?
For the entire bus ride, we didn't have our phones.
Wow.
but it promoted camaraderie because everyone lined up on this fleet of buses to go to the convention center. So you had this final moment of like you're with your chums and like people around you and y'all wearing your caps and gowns and everything. So you had this final thing. It's so different if you just pulled up there with your parents and like you reported to like some area and then you sat down and you waited for everything.
This was basically what happened with UT graduation. There was like no assigned seatings. It was all just throwing us into the...
And I think for a lot of people, I think they're too old for that. Like there's a cynicism, and I don't blame people for having that cynicism, particularly because UT is kind of a challenging institution. I don't mean academically. I mean like just the sheer amount of crap they throw at you in terms of like, you know, just the effect that it can have on like particularly like marginalized identities. UT is a very tough school for that. So I don't blame people for being cynical, but that kind of thing does promote camaraderie and it promotes a little bit of fun. And it makes it more memorable. And then it was also helped by the fact that the venue is like the largest venue you can have in Laredo. I mean, Laredo used to have a minor league hockey team. So this was like the stadium that they would play in.
Yeah, that's legit,
And I think because it was supposed to keep ice for a while. I mean, we don't have the team anymore, but like it was outfitted for ice. It was the Laredo Energy Arena, the LEA, is very cold. so we didn't have that problem that you were having. It is very cold.
You're freezing.
The air it's actually too cold. The air con is excellent at the LEA. Shout out the LEA. But when you're there and you're in that venue with like literal crowds of parents and family sitting in the bleachers, there was for me an immensity of the occasion, and that really helped. It really helps to have it at those venues. It really helps to have it with that like transportation system. That felt quite real in a way that I can imagine that like for you it didn't feel real based on your circumstances. But I think if you were in my position, you can kind of take or leave high school, but when you're there, you kind of feel like, oh, this is like a real moment. There are people around me, and like we did have all this fun together.
And it's true. It was a big moment for me at the time, for sure. I think that since then it's kind of gone down in importance. It was not like it wasn't whether it was important or not. It wasn't a pleasurable experience from the fact that I was just uncomfortable. But it's funny when you said like in defense of my graduation, I was like, oh, did Bob Iger come to your like? I thought you were gonna say like
Bob Iger. No, all we had was
Tim Apple.
All we had was our superintendent.
But my high school graduation, like, and again, I think that maybe that was part of it for this UT graduation that. We didn't have obviously the busing. We didn't have a lot of. I was on my phone the whole time. Like not on the phone, but like I had the phone. I was taking pictures and whatnot.
You were listening to the wrong fit.
Yeah, I was just like I'm so locked in. This is my game time music. But it was like it's in the stadium, which is one of the largest venues in Austin. Like not like the largest. There's a lot of venues in Austin, but it's like a big stadium, right? But it was just also weird for me because I was like, oh yeah, I used to go to like football games here. And I haven't been to the stadium obviously since like a past year plus.
Right.
But yeah, no, it was a time. Definitely like I said, like the more surreal moment was taking my graduation pictures. The girl that I took my pictures with, I actually know her very well. And she like, was very kind in helping me out with the pictures and stuff. And it was like, it was cool. Maybe we'll post these in the show. I haven't gotten my pictures back yet from her. She hasn't like developed them or whatever. But maybe we can post it in the show notes. But I had a good time jumping in the fountain, doing the whole. I don't know if this is a whole like UT thing again, but there's just a whole thing where you jump in the fountain. Like there's a big fountain at UT. I feel like this is just like there's always a fountain and you always jump in it at colleges.
Yep.
But I had a little rubber ducky. I don't know if you've seen this, but
I might have.
You might have seen it on social media. Like I was riding like this like rubber ducky like floaty device thing in the fountain, and it was a lot of fun. Like it was just a lot of fun. That was the moment where I was like, I'm out of here, peace out. We're going on to bigger and better things. So
fantastic.
Yeah